And here we are, back in part 2 of my little dice rolling tour of my very first Game Maker program. So if you came here from part 1, then you're in the right place. If you didn't come here from part 1, then I suggest you have a bit of a look for part 1 of my tour of my little dice rolling thing. This is what it does. It rolls a couple of dice, and it records the score of the dice, and it records the number of rolls I've had, and it records the total score of all my rolls. You can see that here. So there we are, 5 rolls of my dice scored me 24, and this last roll scored 4 because it was double 2s. So that's what it is, and here's some more about how I did it. Okay, just a little quick thing about how to create a sprite from a sprite sheet. I'll show you kind of how I did this one here. So we'll just make a new sprite and edit the sprite. And what we're going to do is file, create from strip. Now you can see here that I've got a few strips, and the one we're after is sugar something or other. Sugar helpers. There we go. So we open. Here's the sugar helpers. That's the wrong one. Create from strip. Not sugar helpers. Sugar something else. Sugar players. There we go, open, scrolling over and down, here we can see some dice. Awfully nice. Now, what we're going to do is click in here, and that gives us an automatic 32 by 32 extracting frame, and center it fairly well there, and we're going to put 4 images in, and whoops, images per row is 4. There we go. So make sure that this is reasonably well centered, so you've got the same sort of gap on that side and on that side, and then we go OK, and it's as simple as that. There's the animation you can see of those 4 images, and the one other thing we need to do is, in the images we need to erase a colour somewhere. Erase a colour, there we go. And it's already automatically picked green, but we could do it with the eyedropper. Just click there, and we go OK. And now we have our transparent sprites. We click tick, and there they are. We can edit that one and double click on it, and that brings us up with the editor, and we're fairly happy with how this one looks. Do the same thing for the, I'll just use the same one again. I'll just delete these images, file, create from strip, or add from strip if you were putting extra ones on. I'll show you how I did these dice here. Now see, they're on 2 rows, so it's just slightly more tricky. So we click our little extracting boxes, move them into position, and go OK, and we've got numbers 1 through to 4, and now we add from strip and get the other 2. And so we want 4 images, I want 2 images this time, and we move our little bounding box down. Looks pretty good. There we are, numbers 1 through 5 again. We want to erase the colour. And there they go. You want to see them moving, or do it, slow it down a little bit. This is, by the way, this number here doesn't affect anything except for this preview. so it doesn't actually get used in your game. You can now see the animation performing there. Make sure you've got that show preview ticked to do that, and we click OK. Now we don't actually need that sprite, so I'll just get rid of it. Delete. So there we go. That's how to extract from a sprite sheet. And you can get sprite sheets from, if I just click back on my game information, you can get sprite sheets from this address, or that's one of the ones that I found for getting sprites from. So there's a whole heap of ones there extracted from all sorts of console games, and there's a PC section as well. Okay, let's move on. Alright, I showed you how to extract those sprites from that sprite sheet. However, I have worked out in my head that SNES probably stands for something like Sony, Nintendo, something or other. So you'd probably want to make your dice from scratch or from your own graphics. So here's how to do that inside Game Maker. We'll make a new sprite, create a sprite, and we're going to edit it. We'll give it a name first. It's a good idea to get in the habit of giving them names before you do anything, otherwise you forget. So SPR homemade dice, and we go edit the sprite, and you can see we've got nothing here yet, so what we have to do is make a new one. This is the sprite editor, but this is the actual create a new sprite thing here, that little blank page. Make this one a bit bigger so we can see what I'm doing and have a little bit more precision when we're drawing it. So we'll make it 64 by 64. It's good to use, comes up with 32 by 32, which is a good useful size for making games and things. And it's always good to be divisible by 8 and things like this, because a lot of the grids and everything seems to be laid out in multiples of 8. So 64 of course is 8 times 8, so twice as big as 32 times 32. Alright, and the only reason I'm doing it that way, you know, if you wanted your dice to be twice as big, but also the other reason for doing it this way, for doing it 64 by 64, is it gives you a bit more precision when you're drawing it, and you'll see that in a second when I double click on it and we get into the actual image editor. See, this is the image editor, but they also call the other thing the sprite editor, so it's a little bit confusing, but this is the bottom level where you can actually draw stuff, so we'll just expand that up a bit so we can draw with a bit more precision. Whoops, a bit too far. That'll do. And then because it's going to be a dice, and it's going to be we'll make it a rounded rectangle, because that's handy for dice. And we'll leave a bit of area around the outside so that we can see that it's a transparent image. And we'll draw our rounded rectangle and make it square. So I didn't quite get that right, it's snapping slightly differently. Didn't quite get that right, so I'll undo that. Make sure I start from the corner of that box this time, so that I've got one whole row on the top there, and then I can be, as long as the gap's the same on the top and bottom and the left and right, then it's going to be a fairly symmetrical object. So there's our dice filled with white, quite handy. And we want to draw a circle for the number 1. So I've done that, and am I happy with that circle that's in the middle? It's not quite, but it's close enough. I'm not going to get too fussy about this. You'll obviously be fussy when you're drawing your own sprites. So we're going to fill that with black, so I pick black as the colour and use the bucket fill tool to do it, and there we go. There we have our number 1. So we're happy with that, we go OK. So there's our dice number 1. And then what we want to do then is actually duplicate that, copy and paste, and then I'm going to, because I've already got the dot in the middle, I'm going to make this one into number 3, because it's good to do all the even and odd ones together. It just makes things a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is pick the marquee selection there and select my dot, and then I'm going to copy that and paste it and drag it into here, and paste it again and drag it into here. Again, a bit rough, but you get the idea. So then we click on that, and so now you can see I've got the 1 and 3. Now I'm going to duplicate my 1 again and edit that, and oops, too far. And this time I'm going to duplicate. I've still got that in the clipboard, I think. So no, I haven't. No, I haven't. So I want to undo that. Escape did the trick. I need to use my marquee selection tool again and select my graphic there, and again copy and paste it, copy paste and bring it in, and I'm going to put it up here this time, and I'm going to paste it again and put it there, and this is going to be the number 2, and at the moment it looks like 3, so I'm going to use my marquee selection now to grab a bit of the old white part and paste that and stick it over there in the middle, and now we've got dice number 2. So happy with that, and you get the idea. So there's my 1, 2, 3 dice, and you could do the same for 4, 5 and 6 if you only got a few minutes left. So I think I'll be continuing this in part 3, so I'll see you there.